Welcome back, my pretties. This is the first episode, I think, of the Sam After Dark series. I think I want to make this the first episode, but I'm not sure yet. But this is the test drive, so we're just going to see how this goes. I did actually make an introduction video to Sam After Dark and haven't posted it yet because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, because my camera can't pick up when it's too dark, but if it's too dim, like, it won't adjust good. But it seems to be doing okay right now. So this is what we're going to do today. So I told you in my last video that I wanted to do a video about the Lucienne Twins, and I found this story on Reddit. And it was really interesting because it kind of reminds me of the twins that was in The Shining, if you've ever seen that movie. So if you haven't seen that movie, which I'm pretty sure everybody has seen that movie, it was like one of the, I mean, I liked it. I know it doesn't get a lot of good reviews, but I've heard a lot of people say it was crappy, surprisingly, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting. So anyways, we're going to get into the story, okay? So sit back with your snack. I'm going to read you the story, and then we're going to go over the thoughts and what we think about it and all of that. So here we go. Get prepared. Okay, the Lucienne Twins, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I will never forget the Lucienne Twins. Even after 10 years, they are still fresh in my memory, too fresh. It was my first year of teaching when they were in my class. My fresh college diploma was framed on my desk, and I had placed a signed picture of my favorite professor, now deceased, on the wall behind me. In cursive, it read, "To Mary, my brightest, that you may teach the world." I watched over my kindergarten class as if they were my own children, but the Lucienne Twins were my favorite. There was Abigail, the blonde one with a minuscule nose, and Bridget, shorter with brunette hair. "Miss Mary," Abigail would start, tugging on my dress before Bridget continued. "We were wondering," Abigail would take over, "if we could go to the sticker box." Bridget now would speak, "and take a star." So they would take turns talking. And of course, there was no way I could say not to the couple. They were irresistible, from their broken sentences to the heart-shaped lockets they wore that were embossed with their names. I could never imagine something happening to them, but fate follows no rules, and something did. Oh boy. Word about the car crash spread around the school faster than the ambulance could reach the hospital. It had been at an intersection where a pickup truck had slammed into the side of their compact car on their Friday morning commute. The driver had still been drunk from the night before. The gas tank was immediately ruptured, spewing the right side of the car with fuel, and flames licked up through the back seats. Bridget was strapped into a car seat above them, and rumor was that Abigail watched her twin burn alive. Oh, that would be hard to see. That would be really hard to see. When the firemen freed Abigail, she threw herself onto the still smoldering bones of Bridget, and her sister's red-hot locket branded itself onto her earlobe. The body of her single mother survived, but the toll of the lost daughter sickened her souls. Abigail returned to class 2 weeks later. The hair on the right side of her head was singed and steadily grew back through the color, though the color was darker. A doctor's inspection revealed nothing else wrong with her except a deafness in her right ear. Hushed voices in the school hallways whispered her eardrum imploded by the sheer loudness of her sister's dying screams. But most unnerving was her sister's name scarred into the lobe of her deaf ear and surrounded by the outline of a heart-shaped locket. From then on, no student would sit on the right side of Abigail, and I had to rearrange the seating charts to place her next to the wall. Abigail seemed content there, in an island of isolation. Before her sister died, they rarely conversed with other students, and now was no different. In social time, I would hear Abigail talking to the wall in incoherent sentences. "Abigail, honey, what are you saying?" I asked a week after she returned. "Oh, Miss Mary," she said, Then she would pause, waiting, and then we thought, another pause, silence, "And we can't we?" "Sure you can, honey," I replied, though the exchange made the hair on my neck stand on end. She smiled again and cocked her right ear, the deaf one, to the wall, pausing again, then speaking. "She said yes," then the gibberish continued, and closing bell rang. It wasn't until I drove halfway home that I realized the gaps in Abigail's conversation were where Bridget should be speaking. Months passed, and Abigail became even more of an outcast in the class. The kindergartners came to forget the disaster, and some students even began bullying Abigail. I revised the seating chart again and moved her close to my desk. "Miss Mary," clamored Abigail one day, pulling my dress. She stumbled, and I reached to catch her, but she fell against my professor's portrait on the wall, shattering the protective glass. She picked up the remains, the glass biting deep into her soft palms. She didn't notice. "I'm so sorry, Miss Mary," she said, and her voice changed tenor. "We didn't mean to break." Again, a pitch change. "Your picture." Oh, okay, I think I see what's fixing to take place here. I think I know what's fixing to happen here. I stopped. It was her first complete sentence since the crash. "It's okay," I said, holding her. Blood from her hands dripped onto me, but it felt cold, and I rushed to bandage it. "I'm sure you will teach the world one day, Miss Mary," she said, her voice continuing the inflections. My heart froze as I read the note on the portrait for the 1,000th time. Abigail couldn't read cursive. "How did you know that?" I asked. Bridget told me. She talks to him now," she said, curling her streak of darker hair around her finger. "That's not all she tells me. She tells me terrible things sometimes, and I can't stop hearing her." Then she started crying and noticed the glass embedded deep into her hands. "She never stops," her voice elevated to a yell. When I took the picture back, her sentences became broken again, and I moved her on the seating chart away from my desk. Over time, the other students realized Abigail's reaction to old objects. They'd bring her in things that they found in the attic, artifacts their grandparents owned, and watched as she cocked her right ear and her sentences become whole or broken when she held them. It became a game to them, listening to the stories she made up, but the effect took an obvious toll on her, and she soon started wearing gloves, even in the dead heat of summer. But one boy, larger than the others, a brute known for his bullying, liked the look on Abigail's face as they pushed artifacts into her squirming palms. It was the quickest to see the fear that she felt when they once gave her an old bullet shell and ran home afterwards to find an old box in his basement his parents forbade him to open. Inside was his great-grandfather's Nazi uniform, a warden at a concentration camp, and he twisted off one of the buttons. The next day he found Abigail on the playground and pinned her against the chain-link fence. He ripped the gloves off and forced the button into her hand, tightly closing her fingers about it. When she began screaming, he only laughed and closed the fist tighter. I reached them too late. When I pulled the boy off of her, she was sobbing uncontrollably, both her hands locked into fist. She dropped the button like it was searing hot, but refused to open the other fist until the paramedics arrived and knocked her out with anesthesia. Only then they could pull her severed right ear out, torn off by her bloody fingernails, with Bridget still written on the lobe. But most terrifying of all was when she screamed. I could hear two voices screaming. Okay, that's the end of that story. That's interesting. So, what do you guys think about that story? Let me know in the comments. That's an interesting story. Um, there's a lot of things that go on between twins that I've heard. A lot of like powerful, like with telekinesis, feeling things that other feels. There's a lot of connection between twins. So I find it really interesting with this story that when her twin died, yes, her name and the locket was burned into her earlobe, but could have, when her, to me, this sounds like when her twin died, she attached to Abigail by, I guess, maybe the locket had a meaning. I don't know. It burned into her ear. So could Bridget have attached, like her spirit attached to Abigail, and maybe they become one instead of, you know, oof, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Kind of spooky. Not too spooky, but if you personally know twins in your life and they have told you or shared experiences of things they have felt or things that have happened to them, and they are so connected that way, let me know. Or if you know twins and one passed away, has that one taken to the other twin that's still alive, or what is going on there? Because that's kind of freaky. And the fact that, you know, just the fact that when they got in the car crash and the flames and like all that burning alive and everything, and then having her locket just, you know, right, no. I'd be like, you're gonna have to like do skin graft, like, is that what that's called? Like, scrape that part off. I don't want it. Like, that's a scar from a horrific thing you had to watch. Like, I don't know how I would react to that, but anyways. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this. Is this something I should continue doing? Of course, if I continue doing this, I'll have to find some really, really scary stories to share on here. Scary experiences or whatever. If you have any scary experiences, put them in the comments and I can do a video on them. It'd be so cool. Or you can message me the stories that you have on Instagram and I can share them. But yeah, so this is the first episode. I said I was wanting to talk about the Lucienne twins, so I figured I would do it like this, and just kind of experiment. This is an experiment, okay? This is what we're doing. I was gonna put the introduction out. I still might. I don't know. It's just me talking. It's just me saying, ooh, we're gonna have spooky stories with Sam. Oh my god. Like, it's it's so great. Yeah, like, I could be scary. Like, come on. But let me know. And until next time, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you're new, and comment down below your thoughts. And I will see you guys on the next one, I guess. Okay. Bye. Don't forget to sleep with your lights on. Ooh.